Ok, clase, para este video vamos a hablar sobre los comparativos y superlativos. Or in English, we're going to talk about the comparatives and superlatives. All right, so let's start off with the comparatives. So what is a comparative? A comparative is just like its name. You use it to compare two things to one another. For example, she is prettier than you, he is stronger than Bob, Spanish is easier than honors physics. All of these are examples of a comparative sentence because you are comparing one thing to another. A superlative, on the other hand, states that something or someone is the most or least. So look at the following examples. He is the most intelligent in the class. She is the tallest in her family. Bob is the least athletic guy on the team. Or, just like the seniors do every year, they do senior superlatives. Who has the best hair? Who has the best smile? That is a superlative. Okay, so now let's practice or describe more in detail what a comparative is, and then we'll move on to superlative. Okay, so to form the comparative in Spanish, you have to put más, which equals more, or menos, which is less, before the adjective, and then you also have to put the word que after the adjective. So what does that look like? Here is a formula to help you form the comparative or form a comparative sentence. You have más or menos. You can choose either one. Then you need an adjective, and then you need que. Here's an example. Ella es más ambicioso que su hermano. She is more ambitious than her sister. If you notice, here's más, here's an adjective, and then you need que. So you're making a sandwich here. So surrounding the adjective, you need más before it, or menos, depending on what you want to say, and then que afterwards. Look at the following example. Él es menos ambicioso que ella. He is less ambitious than her. An important note is after que, you can use subject pronouns, which again, what are your subject pronouns? Yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Or you can use nadie, which if you remember from the affirmative and negative words, it means nobody. So after que, you can also use subject pronouns. And we'll practice with that later on. Now let's move on to a superlative. Okay? To form a superlative, you use the definite article, which is el, la, los, or las, and then you use más, which again means more, or menos, which means less, and then an adjective. Also, the preposition de, which is of, follows the superlative. Okay? For example, here's the formula you would need to use. You need a definite article, which again is el, la, los, or las, plus más or menos, plus an adjective, plus de. Here's an example. Ella es la más inteligente del grupo. She is the most intelligent of the group. She is the most intelligent of the group. Look at this one. Él es el menos perezoso de la clase. He is the least lazy of the class. So he is the definite article, menos, because we need más or menos, perezoso, adjective, de la clase. Okay? Here is a reminder. Don't forget that de and el cannot be beside each other in Spanish. They will always merge into the contraction del. For example, el más alto del grupo. You don't say de el grupo. You can't do that in Spanish. You have to merge them. Okay. Now, of course, with a lot of things, there's always some exceptions. So there are 4 adjectives that are irregular when using the comparative or a superlative. You will not use más or menos with these. For example, do not use the following words: bueno, malo, viejo, and joven. Good, bad, old, and young. We don't use those when we are trying to form a comparative sentence. We have to use mejor, peor, mayor, and menor. Better, worse, older, and younger. For example, the correct way to use one of these would be Rosita es mayor que Pancho. Rosita is older than Pancho. The incorrect way, which a lot of you might be tempted to put it this way, is Rosita es más vieja que Pancho. That is incorrect. You cannot say Rosita is more old than Pancho. You can't do that. You have to say in Spanish, Rosita es mayor que Pancho. She's older than Pancho. Here's another example. Or here's the examples, I'm sorry, of the irregular superlatives. So we have, you can either say el mejor, which means the best, la mejor, referring to a girl being the best, los mejores, the best, referring to a group of people, so on and so forth. And the same applies to peor, menor, and mayor. Okay, here's another example. Pedro es el mejor de la clase. Pedro is the best from the class. So we cannot say Pedro es el más mejor de la clase. You cannot say Pedro is the more better of the class. You can't say that. It doesn't make sense in Spanish. You gotta say Pedro is the best. The best. All right, and that's basically it, but I do want to check for y'all's understanding, so I have a couple questions for you. What is a comparative? Pause it, pause the video, try to answer without looking. A comparative compares two things to each other. What is a superlative? It says something or someone is the most or the least of a group. What is the formula to make a comparative in Spanish? Más or menos plus an adjective plus que. What's the formula to make a superlative in Spanish? You need a definite article, el, la, los, or las, plus más or menos, plus an adjective, plus de. Which four adjectives are irregular in comparatives and superlatives? Bueno, malo, viejo, and joven. Okay, now let's have some practice sentences. And really, guys, try to pause the video and do them. Using this sentence in regards to a comparative, use the comparative formula. How would we translate Maria is taller than Marco? Pause the video, see if you can get it. The answer is Maria es más alta que Marco. Again, we have más or menos, our adjective, and then que. Try to do this one. Ignacio is shorter than Jorge. Ignacio es más bajo que Jorge. Again, más, we have an adjective, and then que. Rosita is prettier than Maria. I think y'all are all equally beautiful, but you know. Rosita es más bonita que Maria. Mario is younger than Luigi. Mario es menor que Luigi. Is younger than Luigi. Good. All right, now let's practice one with some superlatives. Carmen is the tallest in the class. So look at your superlative formulas. Carmen es la más alta de la clase. Again, we have a definite article, más or menos, adjective, de. Roberto is the shortest of the group. Roberto es el más bajo del grupo. So again, we need a definite article, más or menos, adjective, de. Alfonso is the worst on the team. Poor Alfonso. Alfonso es el peor del equipo. He's the worst. So remember, whenever you see worst, best, older, or younger, the formula changes a little bit, but only with those four. Those are the four exceptions. And that's it for este video. So, adiós y chao y Dios te bendiga.